Hello, let's go for the group members. Fatima, Ilham and myself, Samadhi. Three of us are making this presentation together. The topic we have chosen is static versus dynamic testing. So, testing plays a huge role in the software development cycle. It's how we make sure software is not just working but also reliable and of high quality. Whether it's a mobile app or a big system, testing helps developers catch mistakes and improve their work. So today I'll be focusing on two major types, static testing and dynamic testing. First of all, we will see what is software testing. Okay, software testing is generally divided into two main categories, static testing and dynamic testing. So static testing is also called verification and dynamic testing also known as validation. So both play a critical role in ensuring software quality. One checks for issues before we even run the code and the other tests the behavior of the software when it's actually run. Let's first look at static testing. Static testing is where we review and analyze code, documents, or requirements without executing the actual software. The goal is to prevent defects early, like spotting a logic issues in the design or a typo in the code, before they turn into real bugs. And let's check out static testing techniques. One common static testing method is reviews, and there are several types also. Informal reviews, these are casual and unstructured. For example, a developer might simply ask a friend to check their code, walk through the documents or presents it to group to gather feedback. A good example is when a business analyst shares a requirements document with the team. More review techniques include technical reviews. A group of experts check things like design documents to make sure they follow the right standards. And the second one is inspections. This is the most formal type. Roles like moderator and recorder are assigned, and defects are tracked in a structured way. Okay, let's see static code analysis. Static code analysis is done using tools that scan the code without running it. Examples include syntax checking. Make sure the code follows language rules like finding a mission semicolon. And code metrics analysis. Measuring things like complexity or size of the code. And next one is data flow analysis. Checks how data moves through the code and looks for things like uninitialized variables. And control flow analysis. It's look at how code executes and finds unreachable paths. And last one is security analysis. Identifies weaknesses like SQL injection risks. Okay, after that, let's see formal verifications of static testing techniques. Formal verification is a mathematical way to prove that the software works as expected. It's mostly used in a very critical fields like aeroscope or medical software. For example, model checking can prove that a protocol works correctly. And here, there are tools supporting static testing. So there are many tools that helps with static testing. You can see what are the tools assist to performing static testing. So after all, we'll see advantages of static testing. First advantage is helps find defects early before the code is even run. And saves time and cost later in development. And results in cleaner and more maintainable code. And encourages collaboration between developers, testers, and stakeholders. And let's see what are the disadvantages of static testings. It can't catch all bugs, some only appear when the code is running, and depends heavily on the reviewer's skill. And of course, can be time consuming, especially for big projects. And another disadvantage is relying only on static testing may give a false sense of security. Here you can see the slides under the disadvantages of static testing. Okay, now let's see what is dynamic testing. Dynamic testing is different from static testing because here we actually run the code to check how the software behaves. This type of testing helps us find the bugs and that only appear when the software is working, like crashes, wrong outputs, or performance issues. Okay, let's see what are the characteristics of dynamic testing. Let's look at some key features of dynamic testing. First, the code has to be compiled and run in a test environment, a safe space to test software. Then we run test cases These are planned checks to make sure everything works properly. And we prepare these test cases early in the process. So let's see two more features. We provide input during testing, just like real user would do. For example, entering a name into a form. We check if the output is correct. If it matches what we expected, the test is passes. If not, it fails, and we report it as a bug. Okay, let's go for a dynamic testing methodologies. There are two types of dynamic testing methodologies. First, first one is this type needs first time first one is white box testing. This type needs knowledge of how the code works. Testers actually look inside the code. So we check if the logic is working correctly, like testing a loop to make sure it runs the right number of times. And the second one is black box testing. Here we don't look at the code at all. We only test based on inputs and outputs. We give the system some data and see if the result is correct. For example, testing a login form by entering a username and password to check if access is granted. So it calls black box testing. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. There are different types of functional testing. First one is unit testing. Test small parts of the program individually is called unit testing. And second one is integration testing. Checks how different parts work together. And the third one is system testing. It tests the whole system. And the last one is user acceptance testing, UAT. So it's done by users to see if the system meets their needs. And there are non-functional testing types. So there are 4 non-functional testing types. Let's see. Okay. Performance testing. Performance testing is checks how fast or efficient the system is. And the second one is load testing. It measures the system's behavior under increasing user transaction loads. It tests how the system handles many users or heavy data. And security testing looks for weak points hackers could use. The last one is usability testing. It checks if the system is user-friendly. Okay, then let's go to the advantages of dynamic testing. Dynamic testing helps find real-time issues like bugs, memory leaks, or slow performance. And it gives a clear idea of how good and reliable the software is. And another advantage is it confirms that the software works as expected in different situations. and it checks if everything integrates well, like APIs and databases. Okay, let's see about the disadvantages of dynamic testing. It takes a lot of time, especially for big systems, and we can't test every possible scenario. Debugging can be hard. It's not always easy to find what caused a problem. And the last advantage is some rare and unexpected situations are difficult to test. Let's go for last slides. You can see the static versus dynamics testing summary in here. Okay, to finish up. So, static testing is more about prevention. It finds issues before the software is run. Dynamic testing is more hands-on. We run the software and test how it behaves. Using both together is the best way to make sure the software is high quality and ready for real-world use. Okay, you can see the conclusion here. Okay, thank you for listening and thank you for our presentation.